Hymns of the Church, number 3. Number 3.
Tenderly speak. Thank you, Leland, for those songs. Thinking of our meeting this evening and hearing a presentation like we're going to hear tonight, the verse came to my mind is, "Bear ye one another's burdens and so fulfill the law of Christ." And I got looking through, I had some old documents that were printed off from way back for this Anabaptist Health Share, and that is the first verse in their mission statement, not mission statement, but their, anyhow, on the back of the pamphlet you'll see it. Galatians 6:2. And you can think about how do you bear someone's burden? If someone has a burden, how do I bear that burden? What is a burden? A burden is simply a weight, just something that is weighing a person down. There are many possible weights that a person can experience: the loss of a loved one, financial problems, loss of work, physical or mental illness, spiritual problems, discouragement, many other things. How do I help someone in these situations? There's many ways to help. Maybe it's giving them part-time work. Maybe it's an interest-free loan. Maybe it's simply mowing their yard if they are laid up. Many ways to help each other. Then the second part of that verse is, "and so fulfill the law of Christ." And I thought about that for a little bit, and my Bible program showed a lot of cross-reference verses for this verse. And most of them were about showing love, showing someone we care. And a couple of those verses, John 15:12, "This is my commandment, that ye love one another, as I have loved you." Romans 15:1, "We then that are strong ought to bear the infirmities of the weak, and not to please ourselves." 1 Thessalonians 5:14, "Now we exhort you, brethren, warn them that are unruly, comfort the feeble-minded, support the weak, be patient toward all men." Maybe we can't fix someone's problems necessarily, but we can show them that we care. And it might just be stopping by to say hello, how are you doing? Go to the hospital for a visit. And I thought, we practice feet washing twice a year. That is putting love into action. How well do we put that into practice in shoe leather? And I feel that we as a congregation do very well in that way, and I bless you for that. Hebrews 12:12 says, "Wherefore lift up the hands which hang down, and the feeble knees." In the world we live in, the general mindset is pretty selfish. It's all about me. What does it benefit me? What can I get out of this? And I think a ministry like we currently have, and like what we're going to hear about tonight, the focus isn't necessarily about me. Yes, we may benefit from it, depending on what our needs are, but it's sharing with others. So there's some thoughts I had, some verses and thoughts I had about the program tonight. So glad to have Eldon, I guess is it Hostetler or Hochstetler? I'm not sure. I guess he'll tell us. But we're glad to have him and his son here with us tonight, and we're going to turn the time over to him.
Good evening, everybody. What a beautiful, chilling welcome for folks from the sunny south. It's been kind of fun to get into a little bit of snow, but I'll admit to you, I'm getting kind of anxious to get back south. I don't know. I love snow, really. I thought I did. But all of a sudden, it's like, whoa, my blood's too thin yet for this chill out. But anyway, it looks beautiful, and I do love snow. And more than that, we love just being with you all here tonight. We're happy to share about the Anabaptist Health Share Ministry that's been going now for about 10 years. it seems to us that the challenges of medical sharing are only increasing. Hopefully someday the health providers in this country will make it easy for people to understand what's going on, and it'll be easier to figure things out. But right at this moment in time, it feels like that's not quite where we're at. So Anabaptist Health Share is simply here to try to help take the fear out of large medical bills. Yes, sometimes bills in these days can be so big that they just frighten you. They're enough to buy a house or even a farm with, those bills. And yet we're happy to tell you tonight, and there's good answers for those things. And I'm so excited about you all here in your region. I think you all are extra fortunate. In an earlier conversation here tonight, I understand that you all kind of bleed over into the northern Indiana area, Plain Church Group and those folks, which we also work with. They've done some really good work in this region to help with medical billings. So, yeah, we are really our ministry and mission and calling, we think, is to help our communities, our Plain communities, figure out how to take care of those sorts of catastrophic-sized bills. And the fear, as we would say it, we help take the fear out of it, so you don't have to be afraid. What's going to happen to this bill? What's it going to do to my finances? You don't have to worry about that. That's gone, okay? Just gone. You don't have to worry about that. Secondly, a little bigger challenge, I think almost than the first might be, we try to take the frustration out of it. Now that, I'm not sure if we've quite been successful yet or not. And the third one, I'm sure we haven't figured out yet. First the fear, secondly the frustration. And we just came up with a third one the other day. Now don't laugh, but it's simply, we try to take the fiddlesticks out of medical billing, okay? And yes, there's a whole lot of fiddlesticks in medical billing. The bills that you get are not the bills you pay, these kinds of things. You know, why? If you want to sell something or buy something, why wouldn't the price be on it? But that's just not how a medical billing system works in these days. So we're here to try to help figure some of that out. I think you all have done a great job, and I think most of you have one of these guidelines in your hands before tonight. Is that correct? You've had one of these? Yeah? You have them with you tonight? Some of you? Perfect. Wow. You're good students. That's great. It's going to be a great night. So, how many of you read at least one sentence in this, would you say? Oh, perfect. We're going to make it. Yeah, very good. So, just very quickly, I'll just give you a short version, if I can, here, of how this program started. About 10 years ago, Obamacare, the ACA, the Affordable Care Act, was really starting to cut its teeth, and it was creating some havoc amongst our Christian ministries in particular that had 50 or more employees, as well as it was creating a tax bite as well if you didn't have some acceptable insurance or some acceptable alternative to insurance. There was a certain tax thing coming on at that point as well. So I was working at Mountain View back at the time, a Mountain View nursing home in Aurora, Virginia. And we were trying to figure this out. About the same time, a number of things just kind of came together at one convergence that we could never really made them up on our own. One, of course, is being the ACA and its timing of right at that moment in time in 2015, kind of cutting its teeth and starting to jab people a little bit harder than it was. But the second thing was that my second son, Tyler, is an attorney, and he had been working with a Christian attorney who was working particularly with healthcare sharing ministries and how they relate to the Affordable Care Act and Obamacare, these sorts of things. So we got him over to Mountain View, and we sat around the table, and we said, well, why don't we just start another program, a new program, that we can roll all these ministries into these programs. Quite a few of Christian ministries are in the program, like Christian Light Publications, Life Counseling, boys camps, Bald Eagle, Allegheny, these folks, Ozark out here, Mountain View, Hillcrest Home, Faith Mission Home, these sort of places. So we were able to roll all these people into that program from the beginning. We sat around that table and we said, what are we going to do? We'll start a new program. And then we had one more problem. Who's going to run the thing? So our Mountain View board agreed to put down some funds for Tyler through Anabaptist Financial he was working for them, I think, at the time, to do the legwork, to do the legal work that needed to be done to make it happen. And it so happened, if you want to call things happenings, by God's providence, I guess, I was also right in that moment of time preparing to exit, to transition out of Mountain View. And so they kind of looked around the table and they said, well, Eldon, I guess you're it. So I guess I was. And so here we still are today. So that's kind of the short version. So again, we rolled in those ministries into the program right away. But we quickly recognized that there was a real need for a much broader need than that. A need for both individuals and churches, etc., to be in the program, employers, to have a method of doing medical sharing that has a broader base, that has a knowledge base of what to do with medical bills. So we very quickly, probably in the first 6 months, 12 months, I'm not sure, we had the first church also in the program, and it just kind of continued on from there. Till today, we have about 12,000 souls in the program in about 41 different states, I think it is. So it has expanded, and it continues to expand very rapidly. For a while, we were kind of closed a little bit for open enrollment, but by God's grace, we feel like we've got the elbow room now. We're all kind of sandwiched in a tiny little 4-square house. We have a little more room now, and we're constructing some more office space as we speak. So we have about 20 employees, and I'll show some of them to you later. So we feel like we have the bandwidth we need to take on more members. Our concern is that we don't grow so fast that we have to take care of people. We'd rather take all the way care of people and take care of them well, even if it's not as many. But the need is so great. So we're trying to expand as fast as the Lord is helping us to do this in terms of membership and the need. So I am going to go through a slide presentation here, kind of quick-like. At the end, we're going to have it open for questions, so please be free to ask your questions. I just obtained a copy of your current program that you're using here as a church a few minutes ago, and it's surprisingly similar to what we're doing. I think you'll recognize that as we go through this. My understanding is that you as a congregation have been doing this sharing for quite a long time, quite successfully, and that's great. I think that's wonderful. The pros for you to just simply maintain your own program would simply be that you have the full operation and control of it. There's some really good things about that. But of course, there's also possibly some, maybe you would say, risk that can come with that as well, that you may want to spread across a broader base. So the good news that we have tried to accomplished for our local churches is that we have tried to make it possible so that you can bring medical sharing back to your local congregation. So it's not like you're just farming it out to some insurance company out there, but you as a congregation can still maintain as a group your autonomy, as it were, within the larger group. We maintain P&Ls, profit and loss statements, for all of our churches and all of our groups. We try to keep track of. Most of our groups would like to know, so how much have we contributed? How much have we used out of the program? And most people love to see if they can keep their own heads above water. And you all have done so well, from what I understand. That's great. So that is kind of our model, that you have your own representative here that we could relate to, and yet you're sharing the bills through the larger program, but at the same time, what you do and how you use the medical program does affect your own local church community here as well. So I think that's been a good model so far to help provide an ongoing accountability on a local level, and for you locally to be able to understand what's happening with the program as well. So, here we go. We're going to run through these slides here. The mission of AHS, facilitating healthcare sharing for the Anabaptist community through patient advocacy. Now, you'll hear us use the term patient advocacy. It's just a simple statement for the go-between that AHS is between the membership and the providers. We refer to many of our staff team as patient advocates, advocating for you on behalf of the providers and the hospitals and helping you to work through these processes. So this pathway has become rather complex in some ways: medical needs, provider billings, regulatory issues. Here's just a couple of core values that we try to, as an organization, we think about the word ownership. God owns AHS. It's a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and we're stewards of this ministry. We really value, I love the word empathy. I love the word for you as a congregation. It's a beautiful word for us as believers to listen to the hearts of each other and to care about each other with humility, approachability, and patience. And there's two more words that we refer to quite a bit, and that one is integrity, doing the right thing regardless of circumstances. You know, sometimes it's really challenging. It's very difficult to know what to do in the medical field and what to do with the bills, but to try to give the members the benefit of the doubt and to do second-mile service and simply with excellence exceed all standards with transparency and honesty. Well, why does health sharing work? Well, as you all know as a congregation already so well, that when everyone consistently contributes a modest, monthly, budgeted amount, it does become possible to pay for medical needs within the group without hardship. It's fascinating, been very fascinating to me to how this works. But my own congregation that I grew up in has been doing a sharing plan similar to this, actually. When I was just a young guy, about 5 years old, I think I was, when our congregation started doing this back in Virginia. And the contribution rate was like maybe $25 or something for a family, or for a person, I forget, just a very low rate. Of course, that's been a long time ago, okay? Well, not since I left a couple years back. But anyway, they've been doing this for ever since. And it's worked so well. It's kind of the environment that I grew up in. And it's been amazing how it works. You might think, well, $100 a month, what can you do with $100 in medical bills? But when everyone contributes that modest monthly budgeted amount. You can plan for it. You know that each month you're going to put in your $100 or $150, whichever plan you're on here, and you know that's what it's going to be. And you don't have to worry about the million-dollar bills that show up. And yes, they do show up. We've seen a few too many of the big bills, but it's okay. The Lord helps work through those bills, and you don't have to worry or lose sleep about them because we're the ones who lose the sleep, okay? So in the way that we work, we work at it just a little different than many of the health shares out there. We insist on paying the bills, okay? If you don't mind, we insist on paying the bills. Even if you do mind, we still insist on paying the bills. You may not pay the bills. I'll just say it a little. You may not pay the bills. We will pay the bills, okay? If it's going to be shared, we're going to be the ones paying the bill. And if you need to have something paid early, ahead of time, we just pick up the phone, we'll pay the bill for you, and we take it from there. So the billing system is a little bit too complicated out there, and it's astonishing to us how many times you think you understand what's going on, but you don't understand what's going on. And we leave way too much money on the table. And it really sinks and puts a strain and stress on our programs. So we find it very important to turn the bills over to our billing team to manage those bills. And then you don't have to worry about them. And all you need to pay is your ISA, as we call it, your deductible, your amount, and you take the rest. So when an experienced bill management team handles the bills, it assures that all the bills are paid at a reasonable rate. And when members maintain the true spirit of health sharing, the program is about us, rather than just me, okay? So that's why we like to bring health sharing back to the local congregation. We're not trying to take it away from you. Rather, we're trying to make it so that it's possible that you can share together as a congregation. When the above is happening, true health sharing with heart becomes possible. All right. So we try to make providing for our own and mutual aid sharing possible, take the fear out of medical bills. We use an experienced bill management team, and we've been around now for 10 years, and it feels like we're just getting started. 12,000 persons, reserve funds. This program does try to maintain sufficient reserve funds that you don't have to worry about extra offerings, extra contributions. It is our policy to never borrow money. We feel like you should never borrow money to pay medical bills because we believe there's a path through. This method of sharing doesn't require borrowing money for medical bills, and we do try to maintain a reserve fund. We don't use that reserve fund for daily operating, but we simply try to keep it there in case there's some bump or hiccup in the road. It's important to note that AHS is not insurance. Again, I so love your little, I just was looking at your program here, and you all know this already. I don't have to tell you. I'm preaching to the choir. AHS is not insurance. You all know that. So we don't act like insurance. We don't use insurance terms. We're not allowed to use insurance terms, and we're not allowed to think and act or smell or think like insurance. But we are a healthcare sharing ministry. What I think is fascinating is that the United States government recognizes health care sharing ministries, okay? Their word even is ministry, okay? That's how they recognize it. And I think it's a beautiful recognition from the government. 501c3 public charity, nonprofit corporation, and a qualified ACA exemption. Okay, so AHS is a medical cost-sharing program for churches, ministries, individuals. Here is some of our team. This is some of the accounting group. Here's some of the office staff. Here's, I should introduce Zachary. We got Zachary here in the bottom left. Our youngest son, Zachary, is here with me on this journey. These couple presentations we've been doing here. He works in the IT department. These folks right here are patient advocates. Again, the patient advocacy term. The gentleman in the upper left is Kenny. He heads up the billing team. These 8 people, what happens to us, like if you would have a case coming up of some kind, maybe a surgery or something you need, or maybe even you landed up in the ER and you had a bill that you want to do something with, you simply would call into AHS and they would assign, the front office would send it over to Kenny or his comrade Jackson next to him there, and they would simply assign it to one of these 8 people, and they would be in charge of your case, so that whenever you call in, you can ask for Jackson or Ernie or Monty or whoever, and they would know. We use a program, a software program called Salesforce. I don't suppose you have any reason to have heard that word before, but it's a software program that we have all of our people in there, and all the bills and all the information, it's right there, so that when you call in to the office team will instantly have you on the screen as far as your information, and they'll know who you are and where you are and what's up. And if you have a case rolling, they would know something about that, and they can get you to the right place very quickly. So that program has been an extremely valuable piece. We still chuckle at how advanced we were when we started. We had this, Kenny and I, Kenny's been with us a long time, he's a registered nurse. We made this beautiful rack of cubby holes where you could stick folders into. And it was just amazing and awesome how organized we thought we were, until the racks got full and we started putting multiple folders in each rack. And we were kind of, well, let's just say in over our heads, okay? So Salesforce didn't come along any time too soon to help make this happen. I'll just note that the 2 ladies on the bottom right there, Naomi and Lise, they are our maternity patient advocates. Just a fun statistic is that at about any given time, like right now, I think they're telling me that they have about 240. They each have about 120 open maternity cases that they are managing, taking care of. So the program has been a big favorite of young families, and I think about 60 or 65% of the souls in our program are like age 29 and under. We love that statistic because it's just well, statistically, the younger half of the population is not going to have quite as many bills as us old guys would be apt to have, right? So, and also I think it creates stability and longevity in the membership. Very little changeover in the membership, but just a steady riding along in the program. So, we have 3 sharing plan levels, and you can see these. You can read them probably faster than I can talk about them, but I'll make a few comments anyway. But right inside the front cover, you as a congregation here, if you would decide to go with this program, you could choose any one of these 3 levels, catastrophic, standard, or complete. Or you could decide to say, no, we're all going to be on standard, or we're all going to be on complete. We're okay with you all being on different levels. It doesn't really matter to us. But each family would have to be on the same level. Husband, wife, children, all on the same level, okay? You can't split up the family. It kind of gets confusing at that point. But you'd have the option. So the middle, again, we've got these 3 plans. The middle plan is a standard plan. I guess up to now, that one has been a little heavier used than the others. However, the standard and complete plan are, I think, about similar by now. They're not too different, really. as far as the number of people in the plan. So the standard plan is the mid-level. It has a $1,500, again, we use the term individual shared amount. It's your individual amount, like your deductible, to pay per case. So the standard plan is a $1,500 ISA, has a $500,000 sharing limit. Maternity is included, pre-existing conditions after 12 months with some exclusions. We have an end-of-life sharing. If a person is in the program and passes away, we do share $3,000 towards the expenses for the funeral and such like, as an end-of-life sharing. There is a $100 monthly contribution rate per adult. That was the group rate if you're not Social Security exempt, okay? It needs a bit of qualification there. So maybe I can you can actually see it on that middle column. So the individual monthly contribution, the very first number is $110, but if you come with a group, it's only $100. And you'll see it down in the group rate, a few numbers down. So you can sign up as individuals if you want to. You can just go online and sign up as an individual if you like. But if you sign up as a group of 20 persons or more, then you get this $10 off or this 10%, about 10% discount, okay? So it's up to you as a congregation here, as a community here, how you would like to do that. But it's very easy. Only 20 units does it take, only 20 units. Dad one, mom one, children together one. So a household with youngsters is 3 units already. So it only takes about 7 families or so to make those 20 units. And we do have a bit of a caveat. We are accepting Social Security exempt individuals in a group, but we do require that it is a ratio of not more than about 80-20. 20% exempt with 80% non-exempt. The reason we do that is because we find that it is the exemption creates a very different scenario when it comes to medical sharing. One thing that an exempt person is not going to be on Medicare when they turn 65, which means that the program is going to bear the burden of those older, later years of higher medical costs and some other difficulties that are related to the 4029 exemption, and not being able to so freely utilize hospitals' ways to get to the bottom line, these kinds of things. So we do accept some Social Security exempt persons in the program, but we try to maintain a balance that we feel like we can sustain. So next is the complete plan. It's the highest level sharing. It's got a $500 ISA per case. There's no cap applied. Maternity is included, pre-existings, end of life. It has a $135 monthly contribution per adult. Group rate, not Social Security exempt. So the two rates, if you'd have a group not exempt, are $100 and $135, whichever one you would choose. The one has a $1,500 ISA, the other has a $500 ISA per case. So I think you would just have to look through that and see what you think suits your situation the best. And then the third plan is the catastrophic plan. And quite honestly, we don't really promote this plan a lot, but we kind of threw it in here because people like choices. They like cheap choices, and they like to say, well, I could have done that one, but I still chose this one. But anyway, it has a $5,000 ISA, okay? So our request is if anybody does pick up on the catastrophic plan, we want to have a low rate, that you would please make certain that you have $5,000 cash reserved in the bank waiting for that purpose. Please don't sign up for the catastrophic and then have a case and then say, oh, I'm sorry, I can't pay my ISA. So it's far better to sign up for the standard or complete plan to make sure that you don't run into that problem. There's some other limitations for the catastrophic plan that you can read some of those here in the plan here. So the group rate requirement, I've talked about this a little bit, 20 units, church-appointed group rep, group monthly contributions with one check. I should go back here. Let me just go back a little bit more. So basically, how we like to work this is we like to have the congregation appoint someone. Sometimes it's a deacon or someone else. Sometimes it's 2 or 3 people. It depends on how you as a congregation like to operate. But we like to have somebody appointed to be kind of our contact person, our go-between, if we have any questions, and someone to kind of coordinate your church sharing. And then that group rep would be responsible to collect your contributions here in whatever way you do it. Some churches do some of it by offerings. Some churches would have folks individually contribute a certain amount. Some people have, I've seen even a split thing where they have maybe half of it is paid by monthly contributions by individuals in the congregation, the other half is by offerings. So however you as a local congregation want to collect these funds, it's up to you all. We're quite all right with however you want to do it. We can we can get you an invoice, of course, to help you understand how much it is. And once you get that rolling, once everybody's rolled into the program and we've got the spreadsheets out, it's easy to maintain those. So if a person gets added onto or a person leaves, it's easy to adjust the balance sheet and keep rolling month by month. We do have monthly contributions. Some groups will do quarterly. We like the monthly idea, especially for the many people who are paying monthly as individuals or whatever. It's easier in a lot of ways to budget $100 or $150 a month than it is to pay $500 or $600 in a big chunk every quarter. Whoa, this is my quarter. Got to pay this big amount again. It's a little easier just to keep on an even keel, and for the program as well to maintain the cash flow. Okay, so let's just quickly look at the 7 pillars of sharing in the AHS program. We find on page 2 of your book. This page 2 is kind of our a major, I guess you say it's our go-to, all right? Here's how we do it, okay? So we call it the 7 pillars of sharing. The first one is simply a pre-authorization. So it's the pre-authorization idea. Okay, so there's two kinds of situations, right? So there's elective situations and there's emergency situations. There's like elective situations, like you go to the doctor and he says, you know what, it's time for a knee replacement. So probably that's going to be, you'll have some options, like maybe it'll be several weeks out. It won't be tomorrow, okay? It'll be a little ways off. So that's kind of an elective thing where you have a little bit of time, a little chance to think about when am I going to do it, where am I going to do it, these sorts of things, all right? And then you have the emergency situations where, well, somebody gets injured, you know, in a kind of way that you just know that you need to be in the ER, right? We had somebody recently, they called in and they seemed just a tad anxious, and like, well, I got to talk to Ernie, and I said, okay, fine. They got him through the Ernie, and the guy was really quite anxious, and Ernie later told us, he said, well, he had got his hand in the saw, or something like that, and he was asking whether what's he's supposed to do, or can he go to the ER? What? I'm like, oh, sir, really? Yes, please just go to the ER. You don't need to come talking to us about it, all right? Go there first and get yourself fixed up, and then you come talking to us, okay? So there's two things, elective and emergency, all right? So we do advocate the idea of using, and that's actually the next slide, and I'll get to that in a moment. Let me just stop right here. Let's go back to pre-authorization. So pre-authorization is the idea that if now you've been to the doctor, he's saying, no, you're going to need to do this. it's going to need to be a surgery, or you need to go see a specialist or something, that's the time for you to pick up the phone and call AHS and say, hey, doctor's saying this is what's going on. And they'll say, fine, we'll send you over to Kenny. We'll get a case started, and you'll have somebody assigned to your case, and they'll walk you right through it, okay? And they'll help you figure out, you might already know about where you want to go. You might know what it's going to cost. Maybe you don't know where it's going to cost, what it's going to cost or where you want to go. If you don't, then we'll help you figure that out, okay? So that's pre-authorization. You call in, get a case started, and you roll from there. Secondly, is that emergency thing. And I'd just like to say, as far as emergencies are concerned, again, is use MedExpress or urgent care facilities if you can. Now, if you're really, half dead or something, please, you don't want to go see the prompt care. Go to the ER, right? But there's many times that a prompt care can help. As a stopgap, it's much, much cheaper, of course, than going to an ER. So, thirdly, we've got the self-pay is a way to report to the hospital. Now, some people will ask us this question. They'll say, now, listen, is it right for me to say I am self-pay because I have Anabaptist Health Share? So we're just trying to clarify tonight. You don't have Anabaptist Health Share. We're not insurance. You can't think of us as insurance. Your bills never become our bills. They always remain your bills. But our patient advocates help you manage your bills and find resolution and get them paid, okay? So it's absolutely correct for you to say you are self-pay and you're uninsured, because that is truly correct. To say anything other than that gets things very confused in the hospitals. If you say, well, I have, and you mention a name, they'll instantly think that's some kind of insurance. And then they'll bill you like an insurance. And from there, it just goes south because it just gets confusing. Then we have to start acting like insurance. Like, we have to go back to the providers, and if they insist on the idea that, no, we are insurance, then we have to say, okay, then we're going to pay it this percent or something. And it just comes really gets in the weeds really fast and gets really challenging and difficult. So you say self-pay, uninsured, a sharing group is not insurance. Please don't mention AHS. It just gets everything all mixed up. You get the bill, send it straight to us, we'll take care of it. Okay, number 4. We've got unpaid is how to submit bills to AHS. I'll just reiterate this. Unpaid. If you want to have the bill shared, it needs to come to us unpaid. There's a couple exceptions to that, and that would be the kind of things like maybe, let's say you just, okay, I'm not feeling well, I think I need to go see the doctor. You go see the local family doctor. It's $200. You pay it out of pocket, but you still don't get better. You might go back to the doctor again, and this time he says, you know what, you're not getting better. You've got something serious going on. You have to go see a specialist. So then you'll see the specialist, and the specialist will charge you $1,000, maybe $500 for some more tests or something, and about that time, yep, we know what it is, and you're going to have a surgery, and now you're going to the next step. So at that point, you can roll all of those numbers together in one case, right? So your $200, your specialist numbers, and all those numbers roll together into one single case with one ISA, okay? So there's a few cases like that if you have paid something, though, out of pocket, you need to make sure to be able to verify it with a receipt. We pay only on receipts. We were audited annually, and the auditors have an uncanny way of pointing their finger at the very bills that we don't have receipts for. So make certain, if you want the money back, you're going to have to give us a receipt. Okay? It keeps you straight, it keeps us straight too, both of us, okay? So we do need to operate on that. So receipts are extremely important for these types of things. So, okay. You can read the other fine print. Then we've got a couple more here to go. Stewardship of resources is achieved by not paying bills above what is required by the hospitals. That might seem like a no-brainer, but the Plain community has an uncanny way of getting mixed up with all these things. So we're here to try to help figure out what that looks like. Number 6 says, a genuine spirit of sharing is a beautiful way to love our brothers as Jesus loved us. And finally, the word patience is needed when dealing with the medical system and with AHS, okay? So medical bills sometimes do not cooperate the way you would want them to. Some hospitals and providers are very easy to deal with, and you can just get things taken care of very quickly. Then you have other providers. Again, we're in so many different places that we do not have a first-hand knowledge of some of these providers, and some of them are just really, really challenging to deal with, and they're not really even worried about getting their money either, strangely, and it just becomes very challenging to get to the bottom line of the bill. So those are a few things. We're just going to talk yet quickly about a few other things about pre-existing conditions, 12-month wait period, the standard plan. So when we talk about sharing for pre-existing conditions, we do have a limit on those pre-existing conditions. The standard plan does $10,000 per person per year. Complete plan, $15,000 per year per person. Usually that is sufficient for most types of things. But if it's above that, our team still will manage those bills and get them to. It's not very often that a pre-existing condition would be that a managed bill, that the pay at rate would be above the $10,000 or $15,000. Could happen, of course. So again, we manage those bills. Pre-existing exclusions, we do have some exclusions for pre-existing situations. Again, when you're changing gears and changing programs, sometimes it's a little bit complicated, as it is with any, even if you go to the insurance world. So we're trying to be thoughtful about this, how to be inclusive and yet how to be fair to the program, to where the program doesn't just attract people who are needing surgeries tomorrow. Because if the program is full of those folks, it would not be sustainable. So it's an attempt to try to balance these things, and we're happy to talk about any current local needs you may have here and how it relates to this. But the idea of organ failures and cancers typically are not shareable, they're pre-existing. If once you're in the program, they would be shareable all day long as far as these sorts of things. Organ failures, I should say, it says organ failures, so I don't see the word here. Transplants. We do not typically hold ourselves out as sharing for organ transplants. However, our success rate, I think, has been pretty strong in finding really, really good avenues for transplants to help make them happen, to make it doable, payable. There's usually some good programs out there that can help with those things. So we do have a couple line items here. People ask about auto-related injuries. So some auto plans, I think a lot of auto plans have the option of having a $5,000 medical rider on them. So if you wreck your car, it's your fault, you get injured, then there is a $5,000 ISA on that injury. Hopefully you will have that rider on your insurance, but if you don't, there's still going to be a $5,000 ISA. And again, if somebody else wrecks into you, hopefully their insurance will be taking care of it. We have a workers' aid plan. It's an add-on that's required for job-related injuries to be shared. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. There's a page in here on that as well. Mental illness reviewed on a case-by-case basis. Of course, harmful life choices. We cater here to the conservative Anabaptist community, and these types of things, alcohol, tobacco, etc., are not shareable. We do have a little carve-out for the treatment of Lyme disease. We do not typically share for alternative functional medicine, but for Lyme disease, we do. We have a $4,000 sharing limit per year for up to 3 years. I think it's fairly generous. Actually, the person can go to the place of your choice. I don't know whether out here in the West you have Lyme much or not, but in the East we have a lot of it. And probably 80 or 90% of people get Lyme disease, work it right off, and it's never a deal. But those few percentages that don't, they sometimes struggle a lot with figuring out what to do. And sometimes there's some type of functional medicine or natural remedies that help. So we've got a bit of a carve-out for that purpose. So just quickly yet, medical treatment in Mexico is typically not shared. We do share kind of a small portion of cancer treatment in Mexico. Again, Mexico operates very much like the functional alternative clinics do up here. It's cash up front, and a lot of cash up front, and repeated cash up front. And it just doesn't feel like it's a sustainable path for sharing sustainably. So again, we'll be happy to talk to you more about some of these, what's behind some of these plans, if you would like. So again, Medicare members 65 years and older. We do expect 65-year-old persons to have Medicare A and B, and preferably D, the pharmaceutical policy. But if you have Medicare A and B, Medicare has kind of an 80-20 thing going on, and some parts of it does not cover. So we have like a half rate. Instead of you getting a commercial supplement program or some other type of program to supplement this, we have kind of a half rate. It works exactly like the rest of the program works with an ISA and such like, but you only pay $50 a month for the standard plan, $75 for the complete plan, and whatever Medicare doesn't share, then this program kicks in from there. So, Part D, Plan ISA applies, got it. Social Security exemptions, we accept exempt persons. There is an additional $25 per adult to the monthly contribution rate. You'll see it in page 2. The exempt numbers are a little higher. We do require that a Social Security exempt person joins with an established group. So if a person is 65 and older and exempt, we change the sharing number from 100% sharing to 75-25. 75-25 sharing versus 100% sharing. The member would be responsible for 25%. Our thought is that members who are exempt and have not paid the 15.3% Social Security taxes, hopefully somewhere out there they still have a few of those dollars that they can pay their 25%. We think it's fair for the program to do that. Now, quick word about the Workers' Aid Plan. It's a $22 per month contribution if you want job-related injuries shared. Now, hopefully, if you're working for some employer out there, he'll have workers' comp on you. But a lot of our communities tend to be 1099s or self-employed or percentage owners or something, and they don't otherwise have workers' comp. If you want job-related injuries while on the clock to be shared in this program, you will need to have that $22 per month add-on, okay? You don't have to have it, but then if you get hurt on the job, it will not be shared. Okay. We also do time off work reimbursement at a 2/3 normal compensation rate for up to 8 weeks. If you get hurt, break a leg or something, this plan does provide off work compensation. 2/3 normal compensation is about, I think, the Ohio state normal. Most states, I think, do about 2/3. The commercial workers' comp plans, I think, pay at 2/3 wage. And since those wages, I understand them to be not to be taxable wages, the compensation turns out to be about similar to what you would have been making otherwise. Okay, that's it. That took me an hour, didn't it, instead of 45 minutes? All right. Okay. So it's your turn. What further questions or comments do you have? What have I told you that gives you a little bit of heartburn? This program is a little different than yours. It's very similar in many ways. Yes, sir. Yes. You will, yes. Yes. It's actually, so we're working on trying to figure this out. So the workers' aid plan started independent of the other plan. It started as a sidekick plan. So it's still running independent. So you sign up, it's actually you have to sign up for both. You sign up for the regular plan, then you have to sign up for the workers' aid plan too. I apologize for the complication of it. I'm determined to get this streamlined, but right now they're in two separate funds. The workers' aid plan is a separate fund from the other plan, so you sign up for both. You'll have to sign up both of them simultaneously. But yes, it's a $22 add-on. Yes, that's right. If you get a farming accident or something, yeah, I would strongly urge you, $22 a month, you need it. You should have it. Yeah. Over here, somebody. You are welcome to ask your accountant these questions anytime you like, but in our opinion, no. It's not insurance. Thank you for the good question. So we're very happy if you take the lead on that. If you have a place that you think is a good place, that you think it's within range of where you are, and you're familiar with the place, and you know them to be reputable in terms of their pricing structures and things, we welcome you to do that legwork and to tell our case managers, hey, I need to have this surgery done. I think I can do it at this place, and here's their price on it. And they can very quickly affirm, sure, that's great, go for it. Or maybe it's a hip replacement, and the hospital's telling you that'll be 50 grand, and our team knows that you could do it at one of the Crystal clinics for 20. They're going to say, you know, either you need to get that hospital to tell you it's going to be 20, or we'll need to send you to Crystal, okay? That's kind of what our team would do. Again, we try to let you have as much autonomy as possible. Our team will verify, though. Yes, you got it. Go for it. Is that your question? So we very seldom do that. It's in the program that it's a possible thing, okay? If you live in some far-flung corner where these things just aren't done where you are, it could be possible, and we'd be willing to help compensate for that travel. I would say that is very rarely done. And especially here in your community, I think, I understand that you all are comfortable in flipping over to like Fort Wayne area in that region, right? Is that correct? Does that seem local to you all, or is that not local to you all? Pretty local? Okay. So, you know, you're very fortunate in this community if you can reach those providers over there, because there's been some really good work done there on behalf of the Plain community. So we'd like for you to have as much autonomy as possible, is a simple answer. At the same time, our team wants to verify. We prefer verifying before you get too far. Don't tell us, I'm having a surgery on Monday. Please, give them a couple more days than that, all right? So they can, for both you and them. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So, Anabaptist Health Share actually has a number with the Plain Church group. So we have a very talking relationship with those guys over there. They're very helpful, extremely knowledgeable. I've been amazed that they've been at this for a long time already. And I've been amazed at their openness, even though they're mostly based in the Amish community. The leadership of that group, I believe, they seem very open to extend their program to the Plain community at large. So they've been doing some really good work there. And our team, when they hear somebody is from this general region, they say, sure, bring them on. Yeah, we'll take them. Okay, like you guys. They'd be happy to have you, all right? If they know that you would have access to those providers. It makes their life easier knowing that those resources are available. Again, though, I would just add this. Typically, we still say that you present as self-pay. If it needs to go to Plain Church, we will send it to Plain Church. Because depending on what's going on, maybe it's a catastrophic nature of something, you land up in the hospital for a month or 6 weeks, we'd much, much rather deal with that bill ourselves. Because we have the tools in the toolbox that we need. And if we still need to go through Plain Church, we'll decide to do that then. But there may be other tools that are better than Plain Church. Yes, thank you. Good questions. What else are you thinking about? Yes. Unless our case manager would have reviewed the situation ahead of time, and it was a very clean-cut thing going on, something that you could have a name on a CPT code or something that you know what it is, and the provider is giving you a number, and our team has reviewed it and said, you know what, you're not going to do any better than that, let's just go with that. But apart from that, you just go like an uninsured self-pay, yes. Our team likes to hold all the tools in the box that they can, okay? That's how they like to start. If they only have a half a box full of tools, they may get only half of the results. So that's kind of why we insist on this path in particular. Because our policy is kind of very simple. It is the policy of Anabaptist Health Share to use the best path to the bottom line that the hospital provides. The hospital provides. We try to go by what the hospital is asking us to do instead of us telling the hospital what we think they should want to do. We try to go in the front door the way they want the bills taken care of. That's what we try to do. And sometimes that means, yeah, whatever a hospital does. If you have Medicare, of course, that's great. Most hospitals have financial assistance, sliding scales, and many times it requires financial information. Usually it does require financial information. If you're a family of 6 and your income is fairly low, then you qualify for a very high level of deduction. Maybe if you no longer have any children at home and you have a high income, you might be at the top of that scale. So it just varies depending on, and also a lot of times they will require a Medicaid denial before you go to step 2 or 3. In other words, they'll ask you, if you're a self-pay person, they'll say, well, would you qualify for Medicaid? And so a lot of times it's really easy to figure that out, depending again on your income. If you don't qualify for Medicaid, you go to step 2 and keep rolling. But if you do qualify for Medicaid, end of story. That's done. Okay? Any other questions? It's per worker. So for family farms, we simply go with 18 and up. So if the youngsters below that, and I realize they're out there driving tractors and everything else the other guys are doing, but we kind of, for the family farm, we're simply going with 18-year-olds and up if they're working the farm. If the younger members of the family are feeding calves and driving tractors, you know, that's par for the course, of course, for the family farm. So 18 and up. Thank you all so much. I'll give it back to you all to review at your convenience as a congregation. If we can help you, we'd be happy to do so. If you feel like you'd like to continue with your program here, that's all right too. We want you to do what you feel is best for your congregation, and we'd be happy to answer any further questions now or later in whatever way you'd like. Zach? On the right. Oh, yes. Thank you so much, Zach. I forgot. So people will ask us, they say, do you ever change your rates? Well, the simple answer is we haven't up to now. We have not up to now. But that's, in this period of time, it's kind of by God's grace. We have not changed the rates. They've been the same. But we're at a point right now where we are actively monitoring our rates to see kind of what's going on. Our margins have thinned. We're still okay as far as, it's not like the boat's sinking or anything, but we realize that to continue on a good, solid, solvent level, we are going to need to think about our rates pretty soon. It's not like it's going to happen tomorrow, or not January 1st even, but we think probably in the not too distant future here, maybe this next season sometime, we probably will change our rates. It's not going to be drastic, but we've been at this level for a very long time. It's been amazing that we haven't changed our rates up to now, because it seems like everybody around us has been changing their rates, but we also realize at this point that we are probably going to have to look at that. Instead of $100 per person, it might be 120 maybe, I'm not sure, 125, I don't know. It's not going to be drastic, but it's going to be something, okay? To try to make sure that we maintain the margins that we feel is good for all of us together, to be able to share in a way that is responsible, that you don't have to worry about whether your bills are going to get paid or not. Thank you, Zach. Yes? If you would like some financial statements, we can certainly provide them for you. We don't just have we have a monthly newsletter we send out. We have a little bit of numbers in there, but as far as just more the general financial statements or the annual statements or something, if someone would like those, we can certainly provide them. We are a 501c3 not-for-profit group that is audited annually, so those numbers are available, yes. Thank you all so much, folks.
Well, that was a lot of information, really quick. Yeah, it was an hour, a little bit over an hour, but a lot of information to digest. I'm sure if we have questions, we can call and ask. So, thank you for coming. Thank you all for coming. We appreciate your time and dedication. I'm sure there's lots of background work that you guys have to do to make this all work. So thank you for that. Are there any announcements anybody needs to share this evening? All right. If not, thank you for coming and listening. Thank you for your questions. Let's stand and have a word of prayer. Our Father in heaven, we thank you for the privilege of being here tonight. Thank you for Anabaptist Health Share and what they are doing for the Anabaptist community. Bless them for their time in doing that. Thank you for the privilege we have of living in a land where we have a lot of freedoms and a government that acknowledges that. And thank you for the time we've had here this evening. Thank you for each one that was here. Just bless each one. Pray that you'd be with us as we go through the remainder of the week, that we would be faithful to you, and you keep each one of us safe. Just go with us and keep us, and then we pray. Amen.